I'm gonna make this as short as possible, but I will make it as long as necessary because this is gonna be the exact strategy, the exact blueprint I use to close and generate over $50 million in ready to sign clients. And this is without me chasing algorithms, doing a bunch of posts, a bunch of engagements, a bunch of likes, a bunch of comments. None of that. This is the strategy, okay? And this is about maintaining your freedom. Because the whole point of being a solopreneur or be a coach or a consultant is to have freedom. And we're talking financial freedom, we're talking lifestyle freedom, time freedom, location freedom, and the most important one, mental freedom. Because you want to have joy, you want to enjoy it, you want to work with people you like to work with. And my strategy that you're going to learn shows you exactly how to set that up. This is about working smart, not hard. This is about using my backdoor method. There's no reason to work on one-to-one transactions. This is a one-to-many strategy because you get your time back and you actually have leverage in your business. Let's talk about unleashing entrepreneurial freedom. And this is about, again, making more money in less time by working smart, not hard, okay? So the first real secret is one word, and it's simplicity. Everyone wants to make things more complex than they need to be. Simplicity equals leverage, which equals freedom, okay? And so this model is all about simplicity, and that is baked into the entire strategy. So the first thing you got to think about is selling yourself on where you want to go. It's a mindset game. And if you're stagnant and you're not clear on that, your income, your lifestyle is going to flatline, or worse, it's going to actually be declining, okay? So let's think about when you are actually clear now on the first part. There are 5 musts you must always hit on when you want to create a business of ultimate freedom. The number one thing is whatever you're selling, it must be lucrative. So we're talking zero to very low cost, high profit margins, huge commissions. It has to hit on that. Without it being lucrative, what are we doing? That's the name of the game, right? The second thing it must have is it must be a service. It can't be a product. Sell your expertise. That's the whole point of being a consultant or a coach, right? So make sure it's an evergreen service you can sell. Just sell your expertise. The third thing it must be is it must be digital. Again, no physical product. Digital items are scalable. And when you have scale, you get time freedom, you get location freedom. Fourth is these items must be something that is essential to your customer. It's something they must have. These are problem solving services. These are not, I'd like to have them, these are musts, okay? So that's number 4. Number 5 is whatever you're offering, it must be stupid simple. If it requires an instruction manual, it's not gonna work. It's just gonna fail, okay? So the 5 musts for anything you are selling: lucrative, it must be a service, it must be digital, it must be essential, and it must be super, super simple, okay? So let's talk about how to actually make sales without actually trying. And this comes down to knowing your avatar, knowing your ideal customer. And if they don't hit on these 4 musts, then you have the wrong avatar. You have to find a new one. Because without having these 4 musts, you're gonna be barking up the wrong tree. So the first must is they must be easy to find and reach. They can't be hidden. You don't want to go hunting where you can't find your prey, right? So you have to have them easily discoverable. They must be part of groups or networks. You've got to be able to reach them. Number 2 is they must have a huge problem, and they must need you to solve it badly, okay? And they need it done quickly. So that's number 2. Number 3 is they must have moolah. They must have cash. They must have money. They must not be broke, because if they can't pay for your service, if they don't pay you what you deserve, they're not your customer, okay? Number 4 is it must be a growing market. It can't be a dying market. It has to be something that's expanding, okay? So your ideal customer must be easy to find and reach. They must have a huge problem. They must have cash to buy your service and your solution, and they must be in a growing market. Now, here is the twist. This is where everyone gets it wrong. What you do not do is try to sell to that avatar directly, you're gonna waste your time. You're not gonna find any leverage. What you actually do, instead of selling to them directly, I call it my MVP method, most valuable partners. You become friends, you find partnerships with people that have a network of your ideal avatar and they already have their trust. For example, let me tell you about my business. And I struggled for such a long time as a solopreneur trying to figure all these things out so you don't have to. And I have a financial service product and I was trying to offer it to medical doctors. And so I was spending all day trying to call the doctors, trying to get in touch with the doctors, trying to basically do one-to-one sales. And it was a nightmare because I was just wasting so much time. It wasn't efficient, it wasn't leveraged. So I stepped back and I realized there's a better way to go about doing this. So instead, what I did is I just found MVPs, most valuable partners. And who were those MVPs that I decided to target? Medical device salespeople. Because guess what medical device salespeople have? Hundreds, if not thousands of doctors they talk to on a regular basis. So I just became friends with these MVPs and I offered my financial services solution to them because it actually incentivized and helped them sell their medical devices to the doctors. And so the beautiful thing about this model is it works on human psychology. Because think about it. Let's call my doctor, Dr. Smith, that I used to try to go after directly. And let's call the salesperson that sells the devices Todd. If Dr. Smith is buying a medical device from Todd, well, guess what? Dr. Smith trusts Todd. Dr. Smith likes Todd. And so if Todd brings me into the deal, brings me into the fold, brings me into the equation, guess what? Dr. Smith is gonna naturally like me and trust me. It's just psychology, guys. And so 80, maybe 90% of my work is done by Todd because it's a win-win-win. It helps him sell more by offering the financing on the device. It helps the doctor win because he gets the device instead of paying 50 grand up front, he only pays a small monthly payment. Plus it's tax deductible. So it's a win-win-win scenario. So everybody wins in the equation and I really don't do any work except for become friends with Todd. So it makes it more enjoyable. It's a friendship. It's not winners and losers. We all are winning in this type of setup. So think about your business of how you can find these type of MVPs that can sell your services for you. For example, this even goes further. Now that I have my course on how to leverage financial services as a solopreneur and I teach other solopreneurs how to make money doing the financial services that I have figured out how to master, I had to figure out how could I get this program into other consultants, solopreneurs' hands. Was I gonna go after them one-to-one like I was doing trying to go after the doctors? No, I learned my lesson. I'm trying to find more MVPs. And I stepped back and I thought to myself, who would have my ideal avatar in their network and have their trust? And guess who I decided on? Podcast hosts. All I do is reach out to podcast hosts on LinkedIn and over email, some very simple, authentic copy that I write, and they bring me onto their show. And I just talk about my business. I talk about my philosophies. I talk about this MVP model and people listen to it. And guess what? Their listeners trust whoever they bring on the show. Next thing you know, people are signing up for my program because the podcast host was my MVP. I don't have to do any work. I just show up for the podcast, talk about my business, talk about my life, and people feel connected to me. And I didn't have to do any work and everybody wins. The podcast host gets me as a great guest. They get to learn something about this new business model. They get to sign up, learn the new business model, start making a lot of money. Everybody wins. Think from the lens of win-win-win scenarios with your business. I'm even gonna go further and give you another example of something totally abstract, but imagine you were a health coach or a weight loss coach or a fitness coach. How hard is that to find clients? It's like finding a needle in a haystack. How do you know someone wants to lose weight? I mean, even if someone is quote unquote fluffy, how do you know they want to lose weight? You just don't know. So how could you step back and think, who could be an MVP for this? Who could be an MVP for my service, right? Well, when I think back on if I was a health coach, I'm not, I'm not even in the space, but I'm just thinking strategically. This is all about strategy. I would probably go after partners that were high-end corporate dating coaches. Because think about high-end corporate dating coaches. Their clients got money and their clients want to look their best for their dates. And so all I would do is talk to these dating coaches, tell them, hey, I would love for any of your clients to give them 30 days of free training. And the dating coaches would be like, yeah, definitely. I get goodwill by giving my client free training. The client gets to get in shape and look their best, feel their best. And then the client gets to also sample how I work, my service, how well I do at getting them in shape. It's a win-win-win. And after the 30-day trial is up, most of the time they're going to sign up for my package. Again, I didn't have to do any of the work. The dating coach sold my service for me. Do you see how easy this method is? How leveraged it is? There's no reason for us to be chasing people around. That's old 1950 playbook of how you do business. The business in today's day and age is about leveraging relationships, about leveraging networks. And this isn't about chasing algorithms. This is about us having conversations with people that have your ideal avatar in their network.